Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. I'm Kyle. I'm here to represent the world of acoustics. Quick disclaimer, and for the benefit of people watching at home, halfway through Ruth's very fantastic presentation, a very quiet, persistent buzzing noise started. That was in no way arranged by me to try and one-up your fantastic demonstration with the light, Dr. Shelley, but I did quickly Google during our break that apparently the brain processes sound slightly faster than light, so I'm proud to be here on behalf of Acoustics to accept that award, so thank you very much. So, thank you. So, I'm going to start off by wishing everyone here actually a very happy International Noise Awareness Day. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but it's the last Wednesday of every April, so Katya, I don't know if it formed part of your decision making in organising the event, but your timing is impeccable. I'm going to do my best to raise awareness. So, my name, obviously, I said it's Kyle. It's spelt weirdly, but I also have another claim to fame in terms of weirdness, and that is my title as an acoustic engineer is officially, according to Glassdoor, the second weirdest job title in the UK. I am going to go out on a limb here and say that there's probably not any tugmasters in the room at the moment. So I think I can claim that award as, again, another award, again, collecting them tonight, as the weirdest person in the room. So what does this weird and wonderful world of acoustics cover? Simple answer is everything. You know, it's one of our major senses. In my professional life as an engineer, I'm probably up here in this top right corner of what is known as the wheel of acoustics. So I'm looking at the engineering solutions. In my personal life, I probably moved down towards this sort of bottom right half segment of the arts. Bit of performance, going to concerts, all that sort of fun stuff, watching movies. But it does cover so much more. This is really interesting, and this is about how sound influences the world around us. And I know that some of our colleagues in the wider world of acoustics actually look at the impact of noise in the marine environment. Maybe that's tracking whales, also the impacts of offshore wind farms on marine life. Fascinating. I did meet a chap once who said he had some involvement with locating and safely discharging old munitions dumped at the bottom of the sea. For the benefit of our PI and our insurance, I don't get involved in that at all, but it sounds absolutely fascinating. And I've been struck by the presentations this evening because obviously we also have the biological effect of sound. And I've been really struck by the fact that a lot of the challenges you guys face as lighting designers is very similar to what we face in the world of acoustics. It's intangible, but it's a core part of our experience. How do we get the buy-in of clients? And it's our role as designers to try and sell the dream, as it were. And this very much forms the basis of all the work that we're doing over here to try and create that healthy environment for us. The House of Lords recently released a report in the UK. I thought this was quite an interesting stat that apparently 40% of the British population are considered to be exposed to harmful levels of road traffic noise. And I think on the current trends that we're at, with an ever increasing urban world, that's only going to increase. So the role of acoustics is growing, and it's important. The practical implications of that, I'm sure we all know, and we've probably all experienced at some point in our life, is that sleep disturbance has a very significant economic effect, whether that be people turning up to work, not being as productive as they can be. Also in the health environment, if you're in a ward, a very noisy ward, it's taking you longer to recover and you're spending longer times in hospitals. So it has a real tangible cost. But to bring it maybe something a bit more relatable, and if you'll indulge me here, I wonder if there's a show of hands, how many of you have been in a restaurant recently and been unable to have a clear conversation with someone on the other side of the table? It's pretty much everyone. And my partner can testify to this, that acousticians are the worst people to go on a night out with, because you bet I'm going to complain about it in about 2 seconds of walking into a pub. So it's a real issue, and it's there, and it's part of everyday life. The amount of times, certainly in the restaurant environment, that they talk about want an active, a lively environment to be around, and they forget that actually it's a detriment. It can deter away from their experience, and it's actually it's one of the top complaints for diners, noise. Now, I've started off my presentation with a lot of focus on noise, And that's quite a negative word. It's about unwanted sounds. And Brad, it's a pure coincidence. I'm happy to look over you when I said that. So, but as I said before, it can lead to adverse health effects. Of course we are, absolutely. It leads to stress, poor concentration, but we can also look at it in a different way. It is, at the end of the day, it's sound, and it's ultimately a resource. We can actually use it to our benefit, and we can try and shape it to help our designs and achieve the objectives that we want. Now, how can we do that? There's lots of different ways, but if we could jump straight maybe on a micro scale, this is a really common thing that I see in my work, that open plan workspaces. Here we've got at the top of the screen, you've got a circulation space, people moving around the building. You've then got these breakout areas where we want to encourage collaboration, and then maybe you've got these private, quiet write-up areas at the bottom. Now, the way this is laid out at the moment is we've got our shared desks pushed up against the wall, and we're creating this circulation space and this clash of uses. We're actually unintentionally encouraging people to congregate and meet at the end of the desk right next to someone that's trying to focus. Now, of course, I can engineer the best solution, but I can't work magic. If someone is stood right next to you talking about what they watched on TV last night, there's not a great deal I can do about stopping you from hearing that. You're going to hear it. So it's little simple things. Pushing the desk down a little bit. Let's create the movement space up here. Let's encourage the congregation, the collaboration to be slightly further away from these write-up areas. And it just gives people those quiet refuges to go into. And Gary, going back to some of the images you were flashing up, those sort of quiet, those nooks, those crannies that people can take themselves away to, I think are really important. We like the open plan workspace, but I think people need to have, everyone's different. People work in different ways. And I think it's about giving people choice, I think, at the end of the day. And if we actually look on a macro scale, on a much larger scale, this here is a big regeneration scheme that we did in the north of London. And as an acoustician, I get really excited, sadly, because I've got a busy road down here, lots of road traffic noise, but also I've got a railway line down here. So I've got everything. I get to do it all right? So, obviously we've got the challenge of really noisy areas out here, but by working with the architect and by shaping the massing, what we can create is these quiet refuges in the center, and we can help promote those nice sounds. It's not just about getting rid of sound. Sound is a part of our life. It's part of our world. What we want to try and do is minimize the sounds we don't want, the noise, and we want to promote the positive sounds. So I'm going to move into my closing remarks, and what I really want to do is I've made a conscious point throughout this presentation. I've not mentioned decibels. I've not mentioned hertz. They're useful metrics and tools for me as an acoustician to help measure and describe sound, but it goes back to, again, the human experience. It's actually, that only tells part of the story, and a lot of it is how we feel. And it's a little bit later now, but what I would like to encourage you is that on your walk back through Granary Square, is just to appreciate and just listen to the sounds around you. I think, and no way am I trying to negotiate a discount on our office rent, but I think this is a great example of, just simple decisions. We're introducing some foliage over here, natural sounds. We've got the lovely sounds of the fountains, encouraging people to congregate and enjoy the environment that they're in. And if I was to go out with a sound level meter, I'm probably going to get a number that's not too dissimilar to a busy road, but it's the character of the sound is totally different, and the experience and what you feel as you walk through the space is totally different. So I would encourage you all to appreciate that and take the time as you walk back to the train station to enjoy it. And for anyone watching at home as well, if have a think about where you live and what sounds you hear, how does it make you feel? I think there's just more to it than just decibels. So thank you very much for having me. It's been great.